Okay, today we start on the MCQ for machine learning. So I think you already know what do you mean by machine learning. I'm not giving details of that. That means every time you search Google or Bing or in any web search engine to search internet, one of the reasons that works so well is because a learning algorithm that one implemented by Google or Microsoft that has learned how to rank the web pages. Or every time you use Facebook, Apple's Photoshop, typing applications, and it recognizes your friend's photo, that is also machine learning. So everywhere when you read your email, your spam filter saves you from having to wade through tons of spams. That's also the learning algorithm, right? So the first questions that is and there are lots of examples, and there are some classifications and regressions problem, and there are different types of machine learning like supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforced learning, and classifications. That means the problem wherein the outputs that are categorized in nature like yes or no, true or false, or 0 and 1. And there are lots of classification problem like K-NN, naive-Bayes, decision tree, random forest, and I think you know about the supervised and the unsupervised learning, whatever be the thing. So when we are trying to predict a real value variable such as dollar weight, the problem falls under the category of, you can say, unsupervised learning. And the zinc price predictions of crude oil is an example of that is a supervised regression problem. A value to be predicted in machine learning that is called regression. This is called a predictor. Which one is called a predictor? Independent variable that is called as a predictor. This is necessarily finding relationship or associations between the dependent variable and the independent variable, and that is nothing but a slope, you can say. And if the regression involves only one independent variable, it is called simple regressions. It is called simple regressions. Maximum and minimum points on a graph are found at points where the slope of the curve is 0. In the OLS algorithm, the first step, that is calculate the mean of y and x. In OLS algorithm, the last step is calculate a using the value of b. Which of the following is widely used and effective machine learning algorithm based on the idea of bagging, that is random forest, right? These are the different types of algorithm as you mentioned. Now in the next questions, which of the following is a disadvantage of decision tree? And decision tree are prone to overfit, right? And to find the minimum or maximum of a function, so we set the gradient to 0, you know because the value of the gradient at extrema of a function is always 0. High entropy means that the partitions in classifications are, not pure. Which of the following is not supervised learning? Of course, PCA, principal component analysis. And which of the following statements about naive Bayes is incorrect? That is, attributes are statistically dependent on one another given the class value. Now a machine learning problem involves four attributes plus a class. The attributes have 3, 2, 2, and 2 possible values each. The class has 3 possible values. How many maximum possible different examples are there? There are 72 examples as it is written here. Which of the following will be Euclidean distance between two data points? You know the formula, I think so. If you put the x2 minus x1 plus y2 minus y1 whole squares and root of parents, this is like that. It will give you 2. What kind, you can say, when you find many noises in data, which of the following options would you consider in KNN? And of course, you have to increase the value of K. That means you have to increase the value of clusters. SVM, you known as separate vector machines, and this is a linear classifier and maximum margin classifier. And in the next, you can say what is true about machine learning. What is true, you can say, about machine learning, and of course, all of these are true. Uh, how do you handle missing or corrupted data in a data set? Of course, you drop rows and columns, replace the missing value with mean, median, what all those you can do all those stuffs. For understanding relationship between two variables, that can be scatter plot. You can use scatter plot. Which of the following is a performance measure for regression? Which of the following is a performance measure for regression? And that is RMSE, right? Which of the following is the measure of cluster quality? The cluster quantity, and that is nothing but purity. And the next, there is a problem. Let's assume the confusion matrix. And if you know the confusion matrix, you have to predict the win and loss. If you put the formula, you will get the answer as a 6%. How can we can define this? You can see the probability, and you know about that. That means that type of probability, that is nothing but the conditional probability. An event is already occurred, depending on the event is already occurred, I am calculating the probability of O. It is assumed that a B has occurred. So in the covariance between two random variables x and y, that measures the degree to which x and y are linearly related, which means how x varies with y and vice versa, and that is nothing but covariance of x y, like that. So for, you can say, for box plot the upper, you can say for box plot the upper and lower viscous length that depend on I over, that is IQ over, that is the thing. And which of the following is not a supervised learning? Of course, a supervised learning, there is a principal component analysis, that is not a supervised learning. Now, which of the following is not a function? Which of the following is not a function of symbolic in the various functions representation of machine learning? And that is nothing, you can say, that the hidden Markov model. And the next thing is that which of the following is a disadvantage of decision tree? And that is decision tree are prone to be overfit. If a machine learning model output involves target variable, then that model is called, you can say, a predictive model, right? PCA works better if there is, you can say, if variables are scaled in the same unit, and you can say data is organized in a linear structure. That means the correct options, that is B. And A, this is a matrix of real number. The matrix A transpose has an eigenvector x with the eigenvalue B, then the eigenvector of y of A transpose A, which has eigenvalue B, is equals to, that is the quotients of linear algebra, which is helpful in machine learning. It is A transpose X. And let in the next questions, let U be a n cross 1 vector where U transpose U is 1. Let I be the identity n cross n identity matrix. N cross n matrix A is given by this. Then what is the value of K? What is the value of K? That is 2. The number of non-zero rows in an echelon format. When you have to find, you can say, uh, in that particular case, when you have to find, what I'm saying, that rank of a matrix, you have to use the echelon format. In that case, of course, for the rank of a matrix, we are using that. So in Bayes' theorem, unconditional probability is called, you can say, as evidence, right? The decision boundary of n dimensional when n is greater than 3 data that will be happen in dash, right, that output depends on the state of the current input and the next input depends on the output of the previous input, and that is nothing but the reinforced learning. And what is semi-supervised learning? There is nothing but some data is level, but most of it is unleveled, and a mixture of supervised and unsupervised technique that can be used. A perceptron, that is one of the important thing. In perceptron, you can say that is also part of the deep learning, who are set for the examinations. Deep learning, you can also go through this type of questions. A perceptron, there is nothing. There is single macrolate pitch neuron. That is a perceptron. A four input neuron has weights and transfer functions. Is linear with the constant of proportionality being equal to 2. And the answer, if you put it formula, you will get the answer 238. For Gaussian mixtures model, parameters are estimated using a closed form solutions by expectations maximization. And perceptron training rule converges if data is linearly separable. Sum of weights in exponential smoothing. Sum of weights in exponential smoothing, that is equals to 1. What does the autocovariance measure? Actually, the autocovariance that will measure the linear dependence between 2 points on the same series observed at different times. That means the option D is correct. Which of the following is not a technique used in smoothing time series? And that is nothing but the tree-based model like chord. Questions number 8. You are imagine you are working on a time series data. Your manager has asked you to build a highly accurate model. You started to build two types. One is a decision tree, one is a time series regression model. At the end of the evaluation of these two models, you find that model 2 is better than the model 1. What could be the possible reason? Of course, model 1 could not map the linear relationship at goes at model 2. And aerodynamics parameter estimations is achieved using this World or wind tunnel flight test, and as well as said option is D. So in the case of, you can say, algebraic model for a straight line, if a value for the x variable is specified, then the exact value of the response variable can be computed. Now the applications of machine learning method to a large database, that is called a data mining. You can say that. And running smaller scale ML programs on IoT edge devices is known as tiny ML machine learning. The most recent ML applications deepfake is based on, you can say, the GAN network, right? And which of the following algorithm are not example of ensemble learning algorithm? That is, you can say, the decision tree. This is the decision tree. Auto labeling, you can say, data and the automatic tuning of neural net architecture, that is based on AutoML. So there are some questions from the classifications. The answer are written. What sizes of training data set are not best suited for SVM? Support vector machines, that is large data set. In SVM, these functions take a lower dimensional input space and transform it to a high dimensional space. That is nothing but kernel. Kernel is not like that. Kernel is type of functions. So which of the following options is true about the KNN? You can say, uh, of course, kernel algorithm that can be used for both, classifications. You can use as well as regressions. You can also use this particular, you can say, kernel algorithm, right? So Which of the following will be the Euclidean distance between the same questions is repeated? The answer is 2, of course. When you find many noises, the same question increase the value of k. What would be the relationship between the training time between 1nn, 2nn, and 3nn? That is, you can say 1nn, this is 2nn and 3nn, near about same. Which of the following algorithm is an example of ensemble learning algorithm? That is nothing but the random forest. And you can say this conversion of a text corpus to a numerical representation is done by vectorizations. Wrapper approach use indications algorithm for subset validation. And PC is a technique for features extractions. And you can say in LDA, the intra-class and inner-class scatter matrix. These are calculated. Cosine similarity is most popularly used in text classifications. This approach is quite similar to wrapper approach as it also uses an inductive algorithm to evaluate the generated feature subject, that is embedded approach. In wrapper approach, you can say identification of best feature subset is done using the inductions algorithm as a black box. So these are the questions from the, you can say, the machine learning domain. Also, you can go through the questions which I discussed there as a deep learning part. Also, you can say that is the problems that are the MCQs from the deep learning. So the questions, what is the features? What is a features in pattern classification problem? What is the features in pattern classification problem? You can say that is the input variable. What is the decision boundary in a pattern classification problem with two input variable, that is a line or curve we separate two different classes? What is a statistically optimal classifier? That is nothing but a classifier which gives the lowest probability of making classifications error. How are the prototype vector calculated in a minimum distance classifier? How this is calculated? For each class, calculate the mean vector from the input vector in the training set. Design a minimum distance classifier with three classes using the following training data. Then you have to classify this test vector. You can say with the trained classifier, which class does this vector belong to. So you have to do the thing and you will get the answer that will under class B. Which of the following statement is best description of Reeves learning rule? And if a particular input stimulus is always active when a neuron fires, then its weight should be increased. That is the thing. You can see which of the following technique cannot be used for pre-processing the input to an artificial neural network, and that is nothing but the winner takes all. A neuron with four input, that is a given the same questions. You can say the output of the neuron for this particular questions is nothing but 118. Which of the following neural networks use supervised learning? That is simple recurrent neural network that can use it. Which of the following algorithm can be used to train single layer feed forward network? That is all of the about hard competitive learning, soft competitive learning, and genetic algorithm. What is the biggest difference between Widrow and Hopf's delta rules and the perception learning rule for learning in a single layer feed forward network? And that is nothing but the delta rule is defined for linear activations functions, but the perceptron learning rule is defined for step activations functions. Which of the following is not true regarding the principles of fuzzy logic? Because that is included, that is fuzzy logic is a concept of certain degree, that is not the thing. So a smaller number of new variables. These new variables are called, you can see, features. During training, which parameter must be calculated in a minimum distance classifier? Right? This is nothing but the weight, connections, and bias value of each class. During training, which parameter must be calculated in Bayes optimal classifier? Bayes optimal classifier, the mean vector of each class. What is an outlier? That is an input pattern which is very different from the prototype vector of the pattern in the same class. Which of the following statement is the best description of Pavlov's learning rule? That means if a stimulus acts repeatedly at the same time as a response, then a connections will form between the neurons involved. That at the stimulus alone is sufficient to activate the response. This is 29. That would be perceptron has 5 input unit and 3. How many weights does this network have? That is nothing but a 15. A multilayer fit for a network 5 input unit, 1 hidden layer with 4 input and 3 output unit. Then you can say how many does the network? That would be 32. What is a credit assignment problem in a multi-layer feed-forward network? Multi-layer feed-forward network, the problem of adjusting the weight for the hidden unit. That is the thing. And this is 32. Which what is the most general type of decisions region that can be found by feed-forward network with no hidden layer? That is nothing but the decisions region separated by a line, plane, or hyperplane. If we match this, you can say that will be matching with this. That means P will be matching with 4. That means this is used for copying and fittest member of the population into this multi-layer feed-forward network. That is nothing but used to control the Alvinian autonomous land vehicle ranking technique. We already discussed ranking technique that is used to obtain the selection probability of reproduction. Simple recurrent neural network. You can say that is used supervised learning. So this is the thing. Which of the following statement is the best description for underfitting? That is, a network does not contain enough adjustable parameter to find a good approximations to the unknown functions which generated the training data. Which of the following statement is the best description of interpolations? Interpolations, that is nothing but you cannot. If you see the go through the options, you will find none of this. You can say that why is the context layer important in simple recurrent network? And that is nothing that it allows the network to store information about previous input vector. A simple recurrent network has 5 input, 4 hidden layer, 3 output layers. How many weight? That is nothing but 48, right? This is nothing but you can say 48. Which of the following statement is best description of reproductions? That is nothing but randomly pick string to make the next generation. Which of the following statement is the best descriptions to crossover? It is randomly combine the genetic information from two strings. And which of the following statement is the best descriptions of mutations? This is nothing but randomly modify the strings using ranking. The 41, you can say the wet roulette wheel is a technique that is used for randomly selecting the chromosome. You already seen the matching that elitism is a technique that is used for, you can say, copying the fittest member of the populations into the mating pool. 43, a self-organizing features map has 18 units, unit 8 units, 100 output units, arranged in a two-dimensional grid. How many weights does this network have? That is nothing but 800. Question number 44, if we say that, which type of artificial neural network was used as an adaptive filter for echo cancelling in telephone circuits? Linear feed-forward network. Which type of artificial neural network was used to learn the angle to an audio source using gas sensors on a mobile robot? That is nothing but the simple recurrent network. Which type of artificial neural network was used to detect abnormalities in microscopic images of breast tissues? That is nothing but self-organizing features map. Which type of artificial neural network can be used to recover a clean versions of a stored image given in noisy versions of that image? The you can say the Hopfield network. Which type of artificial neural network was used to control the algorithm? You already seen that. That is nothing but multi-layer feed-forward network. Which type of artificial neural network was used for learning simple behaviors such as obstacle avoidance and wall following on a mobile robot? That is linear feed-forward network. What is a pattern vector? That means you can say a vector of measures features on an input example, for a minimum distance classifier with one input variable, what is the decision boundary between two classes? That is nothing but a discriminant. In the next questions, if we match this one, the correct options is this C. The correct options is C. In 53, for a base classifier with two input variables, what is the decision boundary between two classes? That is nothing but, you can say, a curve. Design, you can say, minimal distance classifier with three classes using the following data. This is nothing but, class B, that is, I think, same questions. What is generalizations? That is nothing but the ability of a pattern recognition system to approximate the desired output value for pattern vectors which are not in the training set. And you can see which of the following statement is the best description of supervised learning. That is nothing but the connection strength of the neurons involved are modified to reduce the error between the desired and actual output of the system. 57. The option is single layer feed forward neural network. 58. That is already the questions is repeated. You can say the answer 118. 59. That is which of the following terminal can be used for training artificial neural? All those. This is which of the following neural networks uses supervised learning simple recurrent network. You can say which of the following algorithm can be used to train a single layer feed-forward network. That is, of course, all of the above. That is a repeated questions. Which why are the linear separable problem interesting to neural network researchers? Because they are the only problem that a perceptron can solve successfully. In the next, if you see the options that matches, that is, you can option C. And which of the following technique is not a strategy for dealing with local minima in the backpropagation algorithm? Train and test using hold one out strategy. Which of the following statement is not true? An auto-associative feed-forward network with a single hidden layer of neurons. That is the options, you can say D is correct. That means after training, the hidden unit gives the representations that is equivalent to principal component of the training data, removing non-redundant part. Which of the following statement is not true for a simple recurrent network? You can say the number of context units should be same as the number of input unit. How many hidden layers are there in an auto-associative Hopfield network? That is, you can say none. A Hopfield network has 20 units. How many adjustable parameter does this network contain? That is nothing but, you can say 190. Calculate the weight matrix of a Hopfield and the correct options that will come, that is D. Which of the following statement is not true for a self-organizing features map? Right, the network can grow during training by adding new clusters unit when required. This is 71. Which of the following statement is the best descriptions of reproductions? That the questions are again repeated. Randomly pick new string to make the new generations. Now, which one in this particular questions? Which of the following statement is not true of hard competitive learning? that is nothing but during testing, you can say a cell is equivalent to. What is the biggest difference between a self-organizing map and an ensemble SOM? For classifications, that is in SOM, a separate SOM is trained. A half-field network, that is adjustable parameter that you have to need, that is 1953. Which of the following statement is the best description of crossover, that is randomly combined genetic information? Ranking is the technique you are using uh, for, you can say, obtaining the selection probability for reproduction. The applications in intelligent mobile robotics, you made use of simple recurrent network that is estimating the directions of to an order source. What is the features in pattern classifications problem? That is an input variable. What is the decision value in the pattern classification in a two variable? That is nothing but a line or curve which separate two different classes. And that is, you can say, what is the statistically optimal classifier? There is nothing but a classifier which gives the lowest probability of making classification error. How are the prototype vectors calculated in a minimum distance classifier for each class? Calculate the mean vector from the input vector in the training set. During training, which parameter must be calculated in a minimum distance classifier? That is the mean vector of each class. A neural network is a way trying to, you can say, simulate the brain electronically. Traditionally, the term, you can say, neural network was used to refer network or circuit. And this is the biological neural network are made up of real biological neurons that are connected or functionally related in the nervous system. Artificial neural networks are composed of interconnecting artificial neurons. Artificial neural networks may either be used to gain an understanding of biological neural network or for solving the artificial intelligence problem, you can say, without necessarily creating a model of real biological system. That's all. I think that will be helpful for all of you for, you can say, solving the MCQs in your coming semesters.